So how you doing?
I'm well, thank you. How are you, John? It's awesome to be speaking with you.
It's awesome to be speaking with you too, although I have to restrain from asking questions about the Blade movie and who's directing it and all the things I would love to talk to you about. And we'll talk about Willow, which I've talked about a lot.
I can
Uh,
only imagine. I'm very excited to talk about Willow, and
right.
we really should get that trailer pinned at the top because
Yeah, I
great
would
tease.
love it. I would be very touched.
Well, it was a great tease for the show, and having seen the first 7 episodes,
You've seen
blown,
all seven.
yeah, blown away, and I can't
Oh,
wait for that
great.
finale. And yeah, what a
Oh, that
great
makes
series.
my day. I truly, I feel like by seven, we really start to hit our stride in a way that you see where these characters are going in the story we're telling, you know?
Absolutely, and I'm just waiting for that 8th episode now.
Oh
I'm
my
hoping they're
God.
not going
And
to
it
keep you
is
waiting.
gigantic. I mean, I don't know by what hook or crook we made it happen, but it is a very big and hopefully satisfying end to that first chapter of this saga.
Awesome. Well, something I know I love seeing along the way is I know you filmed a lot of the show in my home country, Wales, and I know obviously part of the movie was shot there back in the day, but what made it the right location to return to for this sequel series?
Well, it's so the look of the original movie, associate so closely with those Welsh landscapes, with the sort of there's a tactile reality to the movie that was a big part of why it was so powerful to me. You saw the image of this little guy bundled up against the rain and the mud, and everything was dirty, and it was a real place, and you were really there with him and Manmardigan. And the first thing we sort of wanted to and were determined to achieve was that sense of reality. So going back to Wales and having that be our home base was a no-brainer, compounded by the fact that there was a beautiful studio there called Dragon Studios, appropriately named Dragon Studios, that sort of was there to be our home and became our home in the best sense.
Oh, fantastic. And obviously, it has been quite a long time now since the movie was
Yes.
released, but there is that passionate fan base that hungers for more Willow. So, what would you say the biggest challenge was of making the show something that would satisfy them, while also obviously a lot of newer viewers who are going to discover the franchise through this series and
I
just
mean,
balancing that?
that really, you've really hit on the challenge, which is to balance sort of my as a diehard Willow fan myself and a kid who grew up on it. I was never worried that I wasn't going to come at it with nothing but love and admiration and a desire to squeeze in every possible reference and bit of texture from the original movie that I could sustain into this sequel. I saw this very much as a continuation of that film. But one of its virtues, at least for me, is that Val brought to it such an originality and such a contemporary sound that I thought it was also incumbent on us to give the show a contemporary sound in 22. And the way we did that was with a cast that had brought each a different element to the table and sort of was able to play off Warwick in different and really fun and exciting ways. And what's great is that every one of them got to have real scenes with them and got to really partner with this character who grounds the whole series in reality.
Yeah, and talking of the younger cast, I think you put together a great ensemble to join Warwick in the show on this very epic road trip they go
Yeah.
on. But what was it like for you deciding on what sort of combination of characters you would have, where they would come from in this world, and the way that you bring them together?
Yeah, I mean, some of the casting was very easy and almost happened without much work at all. Erin Kellyman and I had been on the set of Solo together. I knew her work. I knew the physicality, the soulfulness she brought to everything she did. And there was a guarantee in my mind that that was going to be a part of this equation. When Ellie Bamber came in, I thought, this is Elora Danan. This is the grown-up version of this baby that I had seen, in the movie. And there was no one else for that. With Tony Revolori, I was a huge fan of his work long before I ever got to meet him. And the humor and the reactive humor specifically that he brings to Grand Budapest Hotel is the kind of thing you want on any adventure story like this. And then people like Amar Patel, a total gift, just won it in the room completely. I had never heard of him before. He was a skinny, rail thin guy. He said, "John, I'm going to put on 60 pounds of muscle," to which I said, bullshit. And then he went and did it. And it was a remarkable transformation. And he is now the only person who could ever have been Borman. So it's been a remarkable kind of journey of getting to find all these actors and bring them together.
Yeah, it comes together beautifully. And you mentioned Solo there, and I'm there every year tweeting out, make Solo 2 happen, like a lot of fans. So
yes, I've been very conflicted about it over the last couple of years because I feel that too. I'm certainly one of those people. And when that time of year rolls around, my imagination goes to all the things we intended to do. But then on the other side, I'm so overwhelmed by how much great Star Wars content is coming into the world at this moment. I'm excited for the movie that Damien Lindelof is going to make. I'm excited for another season of Andor, possibly the best Star Wars show in history. Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau are just knocking out great, fun pieces of candy every 6 months that we get to enjoy. So, I think the reason for a Solo 2 is if there's a great reason, and certainly I'd be game if there were,
Yeah, I know I'd love to see whether Han Solo ever crossed paths with Maul, because
me too. I mean, that feels like there's so much fun. And that was another version of just like, there were so many great characters that we were able to establish. And for me, I guess the strongest argument for a Solo 2 is that the movie was Alden's journey to owning that mantle. And by the end of it, I thought he really did. And he didn't get the fun of getting to just inhabit it for a movie. So I'd love to see him back.
Awesome. And just very quickly, John, do you think Willow season 2 could become a reality down the line? Because
I hope so. I mean, we're certainly working at it, and I'm begging Kathy, because working with these actors and this crew of filmmakers on this show has been the best experience, and we still feel like there's a lot of stories and a lot of bigger places to visit.
Oh, well, I'll be keeping my fingers crossed. John, such a pleasure to speak to you.
So great talking to you. I'm looking forward to, we'll talk again when you've seen 8.
Awesome. Thanks so much, John.
Take care.